Right, so a couple weeks back, I watched 3 first seasons of some shows that I'm watching. Those shows are The Mandalorian, Breaking Bad, and The Boys. So I have checked them out, and I'm a bit behind on my review, so I'm going to combine them here as a TV catch-up. I'm going to talk about The Mandalorian, then The Boys, then Breaking Bad. And before I do that, I want you guys down below in the comment section to tell me, what is your opinions on these 3 shows? I want to know all that and more. The Mandalorian, the 3rd season comes out. There's no way I'm going to be caught up on my rewatching before then. So I'm just going to try to binge season 2 and season 1 of The Book of Boba Fett, which I've never seen. So then I'll probably have a main review on this channel as well, just talking about the show in general. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on The Mandalorian. But The Boys and Breaking Bad, those are shows that I want to talk about. So let's go ahead and get started. And with that said, on to The Mandalorian. And kicking it off, the show is about Din Djarin, the Mandalorian. And as he goes on a mission, he finds a child that the Imperial wants. And deciding it's against his moral laws, he decides to keep the child and save it from the Empire. And overall, I like that kind of storyline. At first, I was like, I'm not really sure why he's saving the child, but the more we learn about the Mandalorian, the more we learn who this character is, the more I like it, because he just wants to rescue the child like the Mandos rescued him. And the more I think about it, the more I realize that's what it was. It got better. It got more interesting. It got more engaging along the way, and I really like it in that aspect. That was a really neat idea for that, and it really works. Overall, though, the show doesn't get better on rewatch. I liked it when I first watched it, when my family just sat down and watched it every episode. Rewatching it for this new season, though, it's not very good. And the thing is, it doesn't have an idea of where it wants to go. It spends the majority of the episodes going off the stupid little side quests. Like, one of them, he fights the little midget guys. The other one, he fights the prisoners. The other one, he stops the guys from taking over the town. And each one is directed by a different person, and it feels like a completely different episode, not connected to the show. And that just gets boring. And I don't like saying that, but I basically forced myself to click on to the next episode. I was like, okay, he's going on a little side quest. And by the time we got to the end of the season, it was okay. The finale was okay. It's just, with everything we've been through, also it just kind of feels anticlimactic. Like, he gets a call, he stops this guy from the Empire. Okay, all of a sudden, he stops the guy from the Empire, but he just blows up their ship. Doesn't even check if he's dead. He's a Mandalorian. He doesn't even check if the guy's dead. And they just walk away for the 2nd season. And I was like, okay, that's kind of anticlimactic. That's kind of dumb. And I just could not get behind the boringness, the no clear direction, and just the random episodes scattered. I think it would do better. There are shows that would not do better this way. There are shows that would do better. On binging, it doesn't really work. Episodes once a week, that would work for the show. It's basically like a Saturday morning cartoon, or each episode is just another side quest. There is some positives here. Obviously, I do like Pedro Pascal in this role. I have a more found respect for him after The Last of Us, because he is just such a great actor in everything he does. Some action was okay. Star Wars, my biggest complaint about its whole universe is that the action is just boring and dull. This action, The Mandalorian does have some cool stylized fights. It also depends on who's directing the episode. If the episode's fights are cool, I thought a lot of them were cool. And the way it sets up season 2. That's another positive, is the way it sets up season 2. Because in the end, the season fell flat as a whole. But the way it sets up season 2 feels like it's got an idea. And after I see season 2, I'm fairly sure that season has a more clear direction than this one. And so it just, I'm a little bit excited for season 2, because I do think that that's a better idea, a better way of setting it up than this season did. Because let's get it straight, we all know that he's going to the Jedi, and that gets you excited a little bit. So for The Mandalorian, it's got a good cast. It's okay at times. It's just boring overall, and it just has no clear direction, and it goes off on these side quests constantly that just lost my interest, lost all magic about what this is supposed to be, and so the rewatch just completely fell flat for me. The Mandalorian Season 1 is getting a C-. Let's move on to talk about The Boys. The Boys Season 1 follows Huey, and as his girlfriend gets run over by the famous A-Train and dies, he joins a group that is dedicated to taking down the Seven once and for all and save the world from the superheroes. Obviously, I am a superhero fan. I love the Umbrella Academy show. I love Marvel. I enjoy DC if it's good. And obviously, had to check out The Boys. I mean, it's a show about superheroes going bad. And to get it straight here, I really enjoyed watching this season. The big positive here is this cast is really quite good overall. Everyone in this is very good. Some shout-outs for me. I really liked Jack Wade. I really liked Carl Urban. They all had this neat sort of chemistry here with each other, everyone in The Boys. There was funny moments when there had to be funny moments because the cast really brought them to life. But the big star here for me was, in fact, Anthony Starr as Homelander. Now, it wasn't until halfway the season I was like, everyone's saying Homelander's good. Does he get better in the later seasons? He's just like this random guy. Oh, crap. Wow. Okay. He just, all of a sudden, there's this plane sequence where he doesn't save these people on a plane. Bam, it just snaps there. He completely turns into this lunatic that has a motive, and you're interested in his past, you're interested in everything about him, and he is extremely scary. He's performed very well by this great actor, and I really want to see him in more things. The action here, very well done. It's also very brutal. Like I said, Homelander does these things that is just very disturbing in a way, and it's really cool because for the show, it's a nice tone setter, and the action here also pretty good. The show has one engaging action sequence per episode, and I thought that was really cool because they utilize what they have around them very well. They utilize it in the writing. They utilize everything that they could use for this show about evil superheroes. It takes its idea and it takes it to the max. And like I said, it was very brutal. There's a shot in the end of the season where he blows out someone's eyes, and I just could not look away. I was like, that's a very cool shot. And for a show on Amazon Prime, it seemed to have a pretty big budget. I don't know what the budget was, but it seemed to have a pretty big budget if they're able to pull off these action sequences, pull off these cool, brutal kills, and pull off everything that they could pull off, because that's really nice. And the world building, obviously, very good here as well. We are instantly introduced to the world where the superheroes are worshipped, and then we get into the underground and we see the layers and we see everything that is wrong about this world, and then you see Billy Butcher and I forget, Huey Campbell. You see them try to take down these boys, and we get into more superheroes. They're all funny, they're all cool, and we get into the underground and the coolness, and it really works there as a whole. It's a very fun show to watch. This cast really carries it, especially Anthony Starr. There are some cool action sequences. It's very brutal. It's, for the most part, exactly what I wanted from The Boys, and it got me excited for season 2. And I do gotta talk about this finale. At first, I was a bit mixed on. I was like, this is very anticlimactic. And then when it ended, I was like, huh, now I gotta start the second season, but I want to finish Breaking Bad and The Mandalorian before I do. And so then I walked away from it. The more I think about it, the more I realize that was a good decision on their part. I really thought that was a pretty good decision to make the finale this way. Now, of course, if it was the finale and I had to wait a whole year for it, I would be pretty mad. And if season 3 does it that way, I'd be pretty mad because it wouldn't tell a full story. But the way it sets up everything for the second season, the boys are in trouble, Billy Butcher found his wife, and then you realize that Billy Butcher didn't go the predictable route. We all thought he was going to go back and save the boys instead of stopping Homelander, and he didn't do that. So that was very cool. You get to have all those interactions in the second season. Then you see that there might just be a showdown between Billy Butcher and Homelander. So that would be cool in the second season. And so the more I thought about it, because I've seen this season 3 weeks back. I didn't review it yet, but it was about 3 weeks ago. So the more you think about this finale, the more you're like, okay, actually, I'm pretty hyped for this second season because the finale does it pretty well. I do have a couple of negatives here. Number one, it is too dark. Like, it goes down a couple paths that I just sat back. I was like, okay, this show's just kind of dark and not enjoyable enough at times because it doesn't have really the pop or the cheer that it should have because it's just too dark and too dull at times. Not really dull, but just like has this weird color palette and has this weird way of being a bit dark, and there's not enough fun as well. It goes into that way where it's just a bit dark and a bit too gruesome at times that it's just not enough fun which I wanted from it, and it did kind of take me out of the show at times. But overall, The Boys season 1 is very good, very much a step up from the last show we talked about. I enjoyed it. I'm excited for season 2. It's got a great cast. The action's brutal. Homelander is freaking amazing. The finale left me excited for the next one, and yeah, it might be a bit too dark at times, but overall, I did enjoy this show, and that is why it's getting a B+. We're moving on to the one that everyone wants to talk about, Breaking Bad, and this is a show that everyone's told me to watch. I finally started watching it, and at first, I was a bit disappointed by it, but I soon got into it. Here's a plot synopsis. Walt and Jesse team up to cook meth after Walt is diagnosed with cancer, but they get in a whole bunch of trouble when they first have to kill a man and then take on a dangerous druggie like to-go. And if we're being honest, this is basically 2 separate seasons. The first half of the season was like, okay, we have no clear direction. At first, it's like Walt and Jesse, they team up to get meth, but then we sit back and we're like, wait, why did they team up all of a sudden? Why? And then I sat back and was like, you know what, bro? I can't put my finger on it. Because, of course, he got diagnosed with cancer, but then you don't just walk up and be like, hey, won't cook meth? And so that didn't really have an idea. And then all of a sudden, after they killed this guy, they just separate for like a whole 2 episodes. And you're like, I thought the show was supposed to be about them cooking meth, and it gets really dull there. And then all of a sudden, he gets these cancer treatments. He's actually got to get money. And so you sit back and you're like, now that's a good idea. That's how you get them cooking meth. And at first I was like, why are they doing this? There was no reason for them to do that. And that's very shocking to me because I was like, there's supposed to be a reason for that. Sean Chandler says it best. He says that this is a pilot season. And that's what it feels like. It feels like it has no direction at times. It feels like The Walking Dead season 1 where it's like, all right, where do we go from here? I have no idea which direction I want to take, but all of a sudden, once we get to the end, it finds its direction just like that, and it moves it on and gets it to having a direction. And that is specifically when Walt and Jesse are cooking meth. Walt and Jesse, they all have amazing chemistry. Bryan Cranston, Aaron Paul, they all have hands down some of the best TV chemistry I've ever seen, and Aaron Paul really leads it for me. He is just hilarious, kind of relatable at times, which was very shocking to me for like a stoner dude, but he just leads us. He's hilarious. He's got great chemistry with Bryan Cranston, and it's just amazing. I would just love if the show was specifically about Jesse. I would love if we got a Jesse show. That's why I'm excited to watch El Camino, because Jesse is hands down phenomenal. And then we get to Bryan Cranston's character, and I'm like, okay, he's cool. He does have some ideas here, but he just seems like the dulled down part when Jesse was really funny. Obviously, this season's hands down iconic. Everything here I've seen before in a meme or something, I was like, this is iconic. It was hilarious watching these scenes play out that I've seen countless times in memes. I didn't even know what they were from, and especially like the Skylar White thing. I thought that was just a joke on the internet. No, it's a real thing in the show, and it's really kind of cool, and it's really kind of cool going on the internet and then like, oh, that's from Breaking Bad, and figuring that out. That was neat, and like I said, the show is quite funny at times, especially because Aaron Paul really holds it up here. And then we go to the finale. And the finale is where things really get tight. Because like I said, it has no direction in the first half of the season. It spends more time with Walt trying to figure out, should I pay for these cancer treatments? Should I not pay for these cancer treatments? And then all of a sudden, it switches around to where he's starting to pay for his cancer treatments and he needs a way, and they find a way. So they get there, they get into Tuco's area, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, so this is what the show's gonna be like, and I liked it. I liked the idea of them getting into trouble with this drug dealer, with him being brutal, with him leaving them, watching him brutally beat a man to almost to death, and then you know that they're gonna have to face that in the second season, and you get excited for the second season because this is what you want from the show. You want Walt and Jesse cooking meth, dealing with bad guys, getting into the interesting villains. That's what you want from the show, and when the show finally gets onto that point, it's not only iconic, it's not only funny, but it's very entertaining, and a show that you just, if you're in the mood for Breaking Bad, you want to binge it, and I'm having to restrict myself from binging this show because I need to watch The Mandalorian all seasons before season 3, so I have to restrict myself, but I desperately want to keep going on and clicking on the next episode, just because of these characters, just because of the engaging story behind there. I very much enjoyed Breaking Bad. So when it's with Walt and Jesse cooking meth, when it's with the actual story of the drugs and all that, which this is in, it's a very good show. But the first half of the season, I was like, this has no direction. I didn't know which direction it was going. Season 2s are always better, so I'm excited for season 2. But season 1 of Breaking Bad is going to get an A- from me. Go ahead and tell me down below in the comment section what is your opinions on all these shows. I might go see a movie this next week. It'll be Ant-Man 3, Cocaine Bear, or Creed 3. I don't know which one, but obviously I will have a review. Go to my second channel. I'm going to review Shotgun Wedding in the next couple of days. That's what I saw. Actually, I might wait on reviewing that one before I watch We Have a Ghost, because I just learned that that dropped, and it's a movie that I'm interested in, so I probably will check that one out. But go subscribe to my second channel. Go wait for all these videos. I'm very excited to share them with you guys. And with that said, subscribe, join the Nerd Army. Peace out.